a little surprise walking out from Publix. Oldie but goodie. See it here all the time. Woo! Alright. Back here. Gotta get started on this project. Took too long of a hiatus. So let's get a plan going. So right now, main focus I want to do is get started on the harness and also remove the heater core so I can run the wiring harness. But before I go ahead and start messing with the dash and try to pull out the heater core, I want to take all the plugs I got. So I ordered a whole bunch of plugs here. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and lay these in and connect them everywhere inside the bay, see what I'm missing so I can go ahead and order whatever I'm missing. And while those are getting shipped, I can get started on the heater core. Also, I ordered new coils. Who was it? Motive. What's the name of the YouTube channel? Motive Video. I think it's Motive Video. They did a coil pack test, and the 370Z coils came out better performing than the LQ9 coils that I already have. So just gonna go ahead and sell the LQ9 coils, and I already ordered the 370Z coils, so I'm gonna have to look for the brackets to hopefully mount those on the 2JZ and sell my LQ9 ones in the meantime. But like I said, let me go ahead and start plugging in whatever connectors I have now, see what I'm missing, and we'll get going from there. Sweet. All right, cool. Sorry for the blinking light. I think it's the LED lighting. So I'm missing a couple plugs that I missed or forgot. So we'll go over it real quick. You can see I got injector there. I got 6 of those. I got TPS over here. We got the mat plugged in. Got cam position sensor. We've got crank position sensor hooked up. VVTI hooked up. What else? We got the knock hooked up. What am I missing? I'm not too worried about this temp sender. That's for the stock gauges. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and use the sensor from the radiator, because I plan to read out from the ECU anyways, so I really don't care about the stock dash. So I need a plug for the radiator. I need a plug for the alternator. So alternator, radiator. What else am I missing? That's all I can think of off the top of my head. I'll go over it a little bit more thoroughly here in a second and think about it. That's all I can think of for now. So let me order those, and then like I said, I can go ahead and start taking apart the dash. I have no idea how to take it apart. Just start unbolting and see how that works out. But that's the plan for now. So one other thing I was looking up, I was asking online what these on the back of the intake manifold are, and they were saying they're VSVs, some type of vacuum solenoids, not needed when you're going standalone. So gonna ditch them. Let me go ahead and take those off and see what I'll need to plug them. Clean up the engine bay some as much as I can. So this actually works out perfect for me. So I removed those. So actually an issue I was having was, hold on, let me grab it. So when I put my elbow here, hold on, show you what I mean in a second. So the issue I'm having, so when I put this elbow here for the catch can, I'm unable to get the right angle on it because the bottom of the map sensor where it plugs in is in the way of this being able to go parallel horizontally against the valve cover. So actually what I can do is I can move this one down here and I'll put it up here where this other one was located, and that'll give me the room to be able to move that. So let me move that real quick. And that solved that problem. So now I got this parallel and horizontal to the valve cover pointing to the back, because I'm going to run it around the back and around to this corner right here. Same with this one right there. It's really hard to point on camera because you're not looking in person, you're looking at the camera. So I got that. I'll have to put a new vacuum hose from the map sensor to, I don't even know what these are for. What can someone tell me what's the purpose of these little things, or is it just going directly to a nipple inside of the intake manifold? I'd like to know the difference in that. But otherwise I'm gonna cap these off unless someone says these are pointless. So that cleaned that up a bit, and let me go ahead and list what I'm missing real quick, order those, and then get started on the heater core. Something else I wanted to point out that's kind of something you should think about if you're doing a wiring harness. So you want to think about future improvements you're probably going to do on the car. So I don't have flex fuel in the car yet, but I want to make sure I wire that in now, so when I do get the sensor and plumb it in, all I have to do is pull the connector out from wherever I'm going to hide it and plug it in. And whatever else you might think you're going to need. Let's say the Infinity can do wheel speed sensors for traction control. So you want to think about those wires and wire in any of the auxiliary inputs and outputs that the ECU can do for future upgrades. So it's something I'm trying to think of right now. So I went through, I was looking at, actually I cleaned this up first. Still missing a few caps, but I cleaned that up, looks a lot better. And then I was actually looking, I need male and female plugs for the IS300 fans. These were cut off at the junkyard. I need male and female plugs for the electronic boost controller I'm putting in. Not the electronic boost controller, the Max solenoid I'm putting in. So I'm not going to hardwire it in. Not that I think I'm going to take the harness or disconnect the harness often, but you never know when you'll have to disconnect it. So why hardwire it? So I'll go ahead and do a male and female plug on that. That's kind of all I can think of right now. Everything else is pretty much just power, ground. Let's see what else we got over here. Let's see if we can get this to focus on the harness. That's ground. Everything's pretty basic, just having to look up. Let's see what this is. This one's a ground, this is a ground. Power ground. Grounds. Black is ground, red is power. Shocking. So besides that, it's just getting schematics on the plugs, seeing what's what, and then just hooking it up the way it's supposed to be. I know it sounds a lot easier. We'll see when I get there. Like I said, I'll order what I'm missing and get started on the dash. So I've been standing here for a whole, I don't know, maybe hour debating how I'm going to take out this heater core, what the process is, how I'm going to do it, and I decided I'm not going to take out the heater core. Don't feel like taking apart the dash, don't feel like trying to figure out how to do that. I know I'm all hands-on on this project, but that's kind of one thing I don't feel like doing right now. So I think I came up with an option. Let me show you guys, and you can tell me what you think about it. So hold on one second. So what we have going on here is, so that bottom hole is where the throttle cable comes through, and that top one was used for, it activated the heater. It had a little cable that came out and hooked up to a heater control valve. And right now I just have the power cable going through there for the starter. So I'm looking, like I said, I don't feel like pulling apart the dash. I mean, granted, it would be badass if I get the harness to go through there, because it would be hidden. But I think it's kind of my next best option. Or, hold on a minute. So, if you see down there, let me try to point. right there. That's actually where the stock cable comes through for the speedo. I'm not using a speedo cable. So how about I just go through there? I think that might be my option. I might do that. Let me, it's a lot easier to pull that apart than it is the heater. But yeah, I'm gonna, that's my next goal. I'm gonna start pulling that apart, see what kind of routing option I have under there. And if anything, I'll just use that. Sweet! I really didn't feel like breaking my back for the heater core. So that's my current state right now. But right now I'm about to go cook dinner, meal prep. So this will have to continue tomorrow. All right, after some more thinking and looking at it, I think going through the speedo cable hole would just be a little bit too much work. I'd have to pull it out, I'd have to pull the intake manifold off, I'd have to make the hole bigger, fit it in there. So I think I'm just gonna have to route it to stock location. Kind of bummed out. I didn't want to have the wiring, come through here. I think it kind of looks tacky. But I'm thinking, I kind of have an idea. We got these threaded holes up here. I'm thinking it'd be nice if I can have like a little shield made that comes down under this lip. The wiring harness can come up. It'll ride underneath the lip all the way across. It'll hold it up, then it'll just come down right where it needs to go into the stock location. So that's the plan for now. So now all I gotta do is gotta grab that plug, run it here, run it inside across the stock location, get where my wires are gonna run, bundle them up the way I'm gonna want, see how they're gonna branch out. Then I need to get the thicknesses of them so I can order the Raycam DR25 tubing for them, so I can put the sheathing on them. Then I can go ahead and order the shrink tubing, and then from there, last step would be crimping the connectors on it. So today's goal: route it, put in the hole, see the routing, bundle, measure, and order DR25. Go. All right, I can't make up my mind. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in, see how hard it is to take out that speedo cable. If I can easily take it out, then I'm just gonna go that route. I'll pull the cable out, pull the intake manifold off, drill out that hole just enough so the AEM connector fits, and I'll route it that way because it would clean up the engine bay so much. And so let me jump in there, see if I can start taking apart the gauges and see how that's routed, and I'll go from there. So I make it in here and I'm looking at the dash and I have no idea how to make it to the cluster. So I just did a little quick Google search, remove Cressida cluster. Luckily one of the first forum posts I found illustrates it. So let's see how true it is. See if I can take that out quickly. Alright, it was pretty simple. Followed a forum guideline. Quick, simple, five bullets on how to take it out. Came out kind of easy. Wasn't sure how to take out the how to disconnect the speedo cable, but I got that. So now what I need to do is figure out how to get the speedo cable completely out of the car, and then start planning on how to route the AEM plug. Actually, it fell down. It's on my windshield. So I need to get that plug into the hole where this comes through. I'm gonna have to make it bigger, obviously, but let me figure out how to get this out. I don't know if I might as well just cut it, make it easy. It's not like I'm gonna use it again. Let me cut that, get out of the way, and get going from there. And I got that out. That was pretty simple. So let's see if I can show you guys where it is. You kind of see there where the light's coming through, or that hole. So that's where it is. So I'll be able to get it out, route it behind all the AC stuff, behind there, back to the stock location where the stock ECU was. So I guess now I'll start on removing the intake manifold so I can make this hole bigger to fit the connector. So here's the plan. I got the lower intake manifold off. I got some gook right there. So there's the hole. Gonna run the harness through. I need to elongate that. I'm just gonna use a Dremel, bore it out bigger, and I'll go online and I'll find the grommet to fit. I'll try to find the grommet that has like an elbow, like a 45-degree elbow, to help it point right under the lower intake manifold. That'll help give it a cleaner look instead of having to go through the stock one over there. So I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna Dremel this out, get the AEM plug to fit through there. I'll put it through there and I'll run it across and I'll lay it with some slack in it up where the OEM ECU sits. Or, I mean, it doesn't even have to go all the way over there. If I can find a spot where it fits under here, under the steering wheel, I can just do that and save myself of having to run it all the way over there. But I'll have to see about that. But let me just get the plug in there first, get that, and then I'm gonna start taping the harness together kind of like this, whereas sections that I know are gonna be together, and then eventually I'll take all the small taped sections and put them together. I'll have my main wiring loom that'll come through the firewall. I can get a measurement of that, and then from there it'll start getting smaller and branching out, so I can get measurements of all the little branches that I'm gonna have, so I can go ahead and order that DR25 hopefully today. Alright, I almost broke my back. So I ended up enlarging this hole just a little bit, not enough to fit the whole AEM plug through, but just enough to fit the biggest plug on the harness through with a little bit of room around it. But so the plan is to feed it from the inside out. And I was having a brain fart and I asked someone that I've been talking to about wiring questions. He was saying it's easier to have it big enough for the whole plug. That way if you pull the engine, all you do is disconnect the plug from the ECU and you can pull the whole engine out and you don't have to disconnect any sensors. Well, that sounds great, but then in reality, how often are you planning? How often is someone planning to pull the motor? I don't plan to pull the motor that often. So for me, I'd rather just not have to spend that much time over here trying to hog this out and get it to fit. And then I can just go on the inside now, feed all these wires through, and they're not pinned yet, so it'll be a lot easier. So all I have to do now is pick where I want the ECU to sit inside of the car. So that's the current task right now. See what I can come up with. So we're looking for places to mount the ECU, and I think I'm just going to go with the stock location under the dash on the passenger side. So I'm going to go right up under there, either zip tie or find some kind of way to mount it. But so that's my location, and I know I can get power out of the OEM power wires for it as well. So I know I'm going to put it there, so now I'm going to grab the harness, place it inside here, and I got to run the wires behind the dash through here, and then I got to push them through that speedo cable hole into the engine bay. I can start laying wires out the way I want, grouping them, like I said, measuring them, and then ordering the DR25 for them. Let me knock that out. So there's a lot of pre-planning going on right now in my head. So obviously I could just pull all the wires out of the grommet hole and then, go from there. But I'm trying to keep it clean while I'm in this process. So let's say the O2 sensor, I screwed that in. So instead of running that behind the back of the engine bay, and then you'd have like the big 4.2 plug, it'd be sitting right there because it doesn't fit to go all the way inside there to hide it. Figured I need to buy a grommet to cover up this hole over here. So what I figured, I can just go ahead and run the wideband sensor through the original grommet instead of having to run it all the way across to the bay. So I'll still use the original grommet for anything that'll be on the passenger side of the engine bay. So right now what I'm thinking is I got that coming out of there, and I'll at least also have the boost control solenoid coming out of that side too, instead of having to run it all the way around and then all the way back. I'm basically going to split the loom just a couple pieces to come out on this side. I'm trying to think what else I would want. Might be able to do the coolant temp sensor since it's on the passenger side of the radiator. Maybe I'll do that out of that side too, but instead I'll run that through the fender well and out front, just try to keep a cleaner look. But realistically I need to sit down, look at every single wire and see which one needs to go on which side, and decide on that before I start running the loom behind the AC unit. So let me sit down and think that out. So this whole thing is a learning experience for me. So kind of logical thing for me is to make the harness as small as possible, is remove any wires I'm not going to need as well. So this Infinity is set up for up to... This Infinity is good for 6 cylinders, but the harness that I got is good for 6 or 8 cylinders. So it has wires for injector 7 and 8, coils 7 and 8. So I'm going to remove those just to slim down the harness as much as I can. So I'm coming in here and I'm de-pinning what I don't need, pulling those wires out. Alright, I went ahead, I disconnected the coil and injector wires that I'm not going to need, these blue and orange ones. But I also need to add wires, so this harness comes with 2 pairs of twisted, 2 pairs of shielded wire. There we go. So there's going to be for the cam position and crank position. So I need to pin these in, hook them up on the harness, and decide on which route I'm going to go. Obviously, I'm going to go out of the driver's side, which is going to be here on the left side. On the right side are wires that I want going through the passenger side, through the AEM location, the stock location. And then it also comes with a whole bunch of extra wires to pin in. So I need to go through and see what I need to pin in. Luckily, this AEM harness comes with a factory Supra breakdown of what's connected where. So this is helping me a lot. I was kind of confused on how signal grounds were hooked up and how the relays played in, but this breaks it down almost to where I understand it. I still need to do a little bit still have some questions I need to ask someone, but this gets me going in the right direction. At least I know which pins I'm going to need and to add and where they're going to go. So let me start putting those in. Oh, I do have a couple packages I need to open up. Let me take them in the garage, and I don't know what one of them is, but I can't remember the rest. Alright, we'll start with the smaller one. See what I got. Oh, let's see. It's a 2-pin DTM connector. Figured I'd use this for the I forgot what I planned to use it for, but now I have it. Perfect. Next. Thank you. Next. Here I got, so these are the plugs. Oh, thought I was missing the pins. So plug and pin kit for 370Z coils, which I planned to upgrade to after seeing the Motive DVD comparison they did, which makes me think this box has coils. Let me open this up. I bought a set of 370Z coils on eBay. They're pretty inexpensive compared to what LQ9s are going for. But very nice. And the R OEM. So, sweet. Got myself a set of 6. I'll make sure to incorporate that into the wiring harness. Cool. And if anyone's looking, I'm selling the LQ9 coil kit. Alright, done opening up shipments. Just like I was saying before, this comes with 2 sets of shielded cables. So you can use for the crank pickup and the cam sensor pickup. So let me pin those in real quick and route them on the side of the harness that I want them to go on. Alright, I think that's going to wrap up this session of wiring mess that I got going on. So let me go over what just happened. So when you buy the flying lead harness, it has all these colored wires on it. You see the yellow, the blue, some of these whites, and these reds and blacks for powering it up. But all these white ones, I added all of these white ones out. I'm looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wires or more that I've added myself that come with the kit. Because, so you have the flying lead harness and it shows you a pinout. And it shows you everything that it comes with: injectors, tag, wideband, coils. But then you'll see there's a bunch of empty spaces here and all over the place. So it comes with basic, the basic stuff that each motor has. And luckily, the 2J is popular enough. Let me find it. So they have a schematic for a 2J on what it would need. So to show you kind of like how it's wired in, where it's pinned, even the relays, which is pretty cool. But if you cross-reference this to what's on the harness, it's missing a few of them. So what I did was came here and I marked down what was already on the harness, and then cross-referenced it to what I needed, counted again, and then I went through. So then it goes in depth more of what each pin in to the ECU does. It'll show you amperage and what it's capable of. So I started from the beginning, 1, kept reading through and seeing what I needed. I noticed I didn't have oil pressure, I didn't have fuel pressure. So let me find that real quick. So just so you can see what it looks like. See, like right here, the number 53, default fuel pressure sensor input. That doesn't come on the flying lead harness, so I had to take one of the spare wires it comes with and pin it in, and then mark it. Let me just grab a random one and I'll show you how I marked it. It's kind of hard because last thing you want to do is be in the car and try to trace a wire back all the way to where it goes. So right here I have number, looks like 50. Sharpie and I just wrote on it 50. So if I come back here, I'll know it was for a sensor input. 5-volt sensor input. So it probably means if I go back to the 2J and I find 50 real quick. So 50 right here, where it says 5 volts. Then you follow it, so that's powered to the map sensor. See, little stuff like that, you have to cross-reference, make sure you have all those in place, because the last thing you want to do is put sheathing on it, and then you get through and then you realize you're missing, so then you have to cut the sheathing, buy more sheathing, and do the whole thing all over. So that's it for now. Next step will be seeing what wires need to be joined and going from there. So that's it for now. Woo!
Filming.
What is it, John?
YouTube, comment, like this video if you like it. Watch some more if you don't like it. Terrible. Doing a fool horrible.